Welcome to Wise Guys.
Today's profile, Bernie Sanders.
First, we'll start from the beginning. He's a Brooklyn boy, grew up there, and he went to school over at University of Chicago. That's actually when he was arrested, when he was taking part in the civil rights demonstration.
This is a really famous photo that the Chicago Tribune found only last year. I mean, at a really opportune time for Bernie when he was running against Hillary Clinton. And it shows him getting arrested for resisting arrest.
Right.
And he did not like the segregation of Chicago schools. And it really paints a good picture of his willingness to protest and how his civil rights record has been since he was in college. I think he was with Martin Luther King in the March on Washington.
Right. He was there for the I Have a Dream speech.
And that's another pretty cool claim to fame as someone who's been trying to do this kind of work for the entirety of his life.
I would say, whatever you think about him, he does have ideological consistency.
He does.
You can tell I would say his more socialist democratic ideology, I guess you could say. I mean, he's consistent, and that's really what he believes.
And I mean, in that same way, Bernie has been one of the most outspoken critics of campaign contributions from large corporations and Wall Street getting into politics, Citizens United, and just the entire influence that Wall Street and large companies really have on the American electoral system. And while a lot of left-wing, progressive, and Democrats have said that before, a lot of them tend to take money from super PACs. A lot of them tend to get a lot of those contributions, including, I would say, Hillary Clinton.
Right, and to be fair, not to get into the more center Democrats, was because they think that those voices have a legitimate place, and Sanders doesn't think that as much, and sticks by his words.
And that's exactly it. The consistency is still there.
Campaign.
He doesn't accept any of them. In fact, I think he's probably the only person in the entire Senate who has yet to accept a super PAC contribution.
Yeah, no super PACs. And even during the presidential campaign, no super PACs.
And that is very, very different and very interesting. And probably one of the reasons millennials are so into Bernie Sanders too is that he is just a very different voice than a lot of the other candidates there. So whether or not you necessarily agree with his ideology, Republicans, including Donald Trump, have been able to really praise Sanders' ability to say what he means, act by it, and oftentimes just go completely against the flow to stick up for what he believes in.
Right, and I think he's a progressive stalwart.
Absolutely.
And he's a little different. He comes from kind of a different area of the country, Vermont. He was the mayor of Burlington. And then now he's the junior senator. He had that, whatever happened with the Democratic National Committee and how the party rules works, I mean, I think that there's probably a lot of not good stuff there.
No, but I mean, Bernie has had a lot of power in this kind of not being a full Democrat, but being a progressive since he entered the Senate since he entered just politics in general.
Yeah, I mean,
he co-founded the Progressive Caucus.
He's a progressive that caucuses with Democrats.
Right, exactly.
He kind of wants to maintain a little bit of separation. I think that makes sense.
And it's something he wants. The second he lost to Hillary, he went right back to being a self-described socialist Democrat, or Democratic socialist, and was literally only a Democrat to try and get the DNC's endorsement, which I think says a lot too.
Let's talk a little bit about what's the future here. I think the progressive, this is this farthest left side of American politics that's still popular, and I think it's got a lot of power. There's a lot of millennials that are on his side.
Absolutely,
they're the biggest generation. And going forward, I think you're going to see a lot of support, but he's getting older.
He is. Bernie's 75 years old, and though he is absolutely still a powerful figure in the Democratic coalition, he's currently, still making trips out to West Virginia and pitching his agenda, which is pretty much the opposite of Paul Ryan's agenda and what the Republicans really want. Yeah. He's pitching that to areas of the country that he feels haven't been reached out to enough, which is, as we've said in other videos, critical for the future of the Democratic Party and the liberal movement. But he's 75 years old, and his time in the Senate and his ability to keep doing the things that he really wants to are going to decrease. He can't keep making these trips forever, and he can't keep being the face of the Progressive Party, or the sole face of the Progressive Party. A lot of people say Elizabeth Warren is there too, but they're pretty different. The levels of popularity that Bernie gained from running against Hillary and becoming a national figure, I think, have eclipsed Warren. And I also think that it's time that he identifies someone to pass the baton onto for the long term.
Right.
I think he had a young guy campaigning out there with him and like going to these different areas and helping pitch his agenda. I think that would say a lot for his movement.
Yeah, there's really no heir apparent. I'd say if you flip all the way over to the other side of the spectrum with the libertarians, you have an Amash, a Justin Amash
Right.
to ramp, but you don't really have that. I mean, Keith Ellison, I think, is problematic for a lot of the things that he supported in the past.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Warren has the charisma. So I really think that somebody will come along. I mean, they'll find somebody.
We'll absolutely do a profile on Elizabeth Warren, and I don't by any means want to rule her out. I think that she has a lot of power in the liberal movement as well, and the Democratic coalition. But I do agree that Warren doesn't fit the bill for a young heir apparent, right?
There's nobody that's really clicked,
right.
I think.
Exactly. That was our profile on Bernie Sanders. As always, thanks for watching, and shoot us a message on Gmail or connect with us on Twitter if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Thanks.